Globe and Globes host Ricky Gervais roasts Apple for his Chinese sweatshops in front of hordes of celebrities as Tim Cook watched from the audience. I'm not too sure if you guys saw this. It was freaking amazing. One of the best roasts I've heard in a very, very long time. And the reason I want to talk about this is I think things about to change. The reason why I say this is, like, if you guys watched my video before on René Girard's mimetic theory states that monkey see, monkey do until we need an scapegoat. So 2018, 2019, it was a boiling point. SJWs, woke culture, cancel culture, etc. Eventually, that gets to a boiling point where you need to identify a scapegoat. That scapegoat is then sacrificed for the purity and the innocence of the community. This is a cycle that René Girard says repeats over and over again, right? You have issues, they boil up, monkey see, monkey do, people don't think for themselves, it's not our fault, it's never our fault, let's blame somebody else. Okay, so that's the whole purpose of woke culture, of SJW culture. It's never my fault, it's always someone else's fault, victimhood mentality. So Ricky Gervais goes out there and fucking rips everybody. Talks about Epstein, talks about the issues with tuition or fraud within tuition, talks about Harvey Weinstein, everything, the whole 9 yards. Like, doesn't leave a rock unturned. He fucking kills it. Kills it. And a lot of people get upset, which is mind-boggling. But the reason I want to talk about this is, like, listen, anytime that you're in a conversation or anytime you're in any form of communication and somebody gets offended, don't take it personal. The first question you got to ask yourself is, why is that person getting offended? It's really interesting, right? When a person gets offended and when you sit down and have a reasonable dialogue about that or asking better questions, then that person has to pause and reflect on that, on himself or her, of why he or she is responding that way, right? And Twitter and Facebook is usually the worst medium when it comes to having a conversation with anybody, specifically Twitter. Twitter, what are you allowed? 256 character? At least Facebook, you can write an essay. You can write fucking 5 pages if you want for response. But the whole idea of people getting upset from this, whether it's the audience members here or whether it's people on Twitter or these random people getting offended or they didn't like the jokes that Ricky was saying, that gives you a hint about the psychology of an individual. Usually when I see there's an argument online, I don't like to partake into it because at the end of the day, it doesn't serve anybody any justice. When people are complaining back and forth on Facebook and Twitter, that doesn't lead anywhere good. There's no rapport building. There's no dialogue building. There's no communication building. We don't have the necessary tools or frameworks to properly build a proper dialogue. And if you missed my last video on critical thinking, I made a couple of videos back. I go through Dr. Christopher D. Carlos ABCDEF method, right? A for what's your assumption, B for what's your bias, C for what is a context, D for diagramming, ABCD, E is for evidence, and F is for fallacies, right? Highly recommend you look at that video. It's one of the best tool sets when it comes to critical thinking. And so Ricky Gervais comes, busts that shit down, fucking awesome. People get upset, whoopee fucking do. But it was interesting for me to see how people responded. Very interesting. And so my message to you is, don't get caught up in any of this. I think tides are turning. As René Girard states, the woke culture is slowly getting eliminated. SJW is going to eliminate. However, it's always messy before it becomes good. Because in this scenario of the tipping point, as Gladwell talks about, there's always an scapegoat needed. You need to sacrifice, in the old time, sacrifice a virgin. You need to sacrifice an entity. It can be an establishment. It can be an individual. It can be something. But something must be sacrificed to cleanse the sins of the community, of the society, because God forbid, it's never your fault. There's that funny Greek saying, for every finger you point at somebody, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. And so take this into consideration. Things are going to get better, but they're going to get worse before they get better. And so don't get, and this is a lesson for you. Don't get sucked up into this shit. I had my good friend Richard Cooper on before, and we had a great episode on masculinity. And it's funny to see how people are very binary. People are either this side, I'm red pilled, or I'm blue pilled, or I'm purple pilled. So many fucking pills. Life is not binary. Context matters. Scenario matters. Where you are in your life matters. Everything matters, right? It's not very binary. And start thinking for yourself as opposed to following other people. Even the shit that I tell you, don't just fucking follow me. Use the tools that I give you to think for yourself. Use rational thinking. Use logical thinking. Use first principle thinking. If you missed that video, I just did a video fucking yesterday talking about first principle, right? First principle thinking. Thinking with rational tool sets, what I mentioned with Dr. Christopher DiCarlo, using the framework of René Girard. These are powerful, powerful mental models that you can use that, guess what, 99% of motherfuckers out there do not use. I'll leave it at that. I think Ricky Gervais killed it. Fucking phenomenal. And people who are complaining, boo-hoo-hoo, screw you, I'm not even going to talk to you. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.